Hey guys, I hope you are all doing great. Okay, so I never thought I would do this story time, but it looks like the time has come, and because I've been sharing a lot more information with you guys about, you know, some advice about going to Uganda hacks, blah-de-da, you have to get your yellow fever vaccination, this and that, I thought, you know what, I think I'm ready to tell this story. I'm kind of over it in a way. I don't know why it's always a bit daunting for me to share embarrassing things about myself. Do you guys feel the same? Do you feel like you always want to conceal things, your most embarrassing moments, those moments when you tripped and fell? That is another story time. So you guys know I go to Uganda quite often. I was there last year, towards the end of the year, so it kind of feels like this year, but it was last year, and I went also the previous year. But usually when I go to Uganda, I always go out, like to a bar, to a club, like just wherever my friends, cousins are going. We just usually like to go out, get a drink or two, dance, have fun, etc. No big deal. Just like anybody would go out in any country. So I was going to my friend's place to get ready. So I was communicating with her about, you know, where her house was, and she was saying that, you know, her border man could come and pick me up. The guy she uses, he would come and pick me up and bring me to her place because that border knew exactly where she lived. So I was waiting for him. Finally he arrived, he was waiting outside, so I left the house. I had everything with me, and you guys know how in Uganda, I don't know, maybe you don't know, maybe you do know, in Uganda there's always a gate, usually outside people's homes, just to protect the house, and then there's usually a guard or like a houseboy just to open the gate, you know, take the dogs away, etc. I think all of us had for some reason migrated to the compound being the space between the house and the gate. Now I didn't know that the dogs were out there. Like my cousins have, is it 3 dogs? Yeah, 3 dogs. 2 of them are house trained and friendly dogs, and they just kind of lick you and play with you. The other dog is a guard dog. He usually gets locked up during the day and let out during the night because he protects the house. Anytime he hears a noise at night, he barks and scares people away. He's a black dog and he's quite fierce. You wouldn't have seen him in my vlogs because he only comes out at night. So I was standing on the compound waiting for the houseboy to go and open the gate for me so that I could go outside and jump on the border and head to my friend's place to get ready to go out. Houseboy is basically telling me, hey, he's next to your leg, or like he's near you. And I'm just like, it doesn't register. What he's saying is that the dog is near me, but he's saying he's next to your leg, he's near you, or something along those lines. I remember that much. So as I was standing there, Winston comes up. Winston, the dog who gets locked up during the day and then let out at night. As quiet as he was, Winston came up next to my leg. I was wearing a skirt and he just bit into my shin, femur, jambe. Winston had bitten into my bare leg. Like my lower leg basically, but just underneath the knee where he could reach. He had just come up, he's just come up to me, twisted his head a bit so his mouth would fit, his teeth would fit, his jaw would fit, and just bit into my leg. That was the shock of my life. That was a shock of my life. And then it made sense as to why he was saying, oh, he's near you. Honestly, I wish he had just come up to Winston and pulled him back. Then I wouldn't have gotten bitten. He knows how to handle the dog. Like he takes him out, he handles him every single day, serves him food, takes care of him. He knows how to handle the dog. I presume he could have easily done that. So I end up with a hole in my leg. It's gushing down, it's bleeding down. I'm not sure if I cried. I think I cried a little bit when it finally hit me that, oh my god, I've just been bitten by a dog. All I could think about was, you know, I need to go out. The border guy's waiting for me outside. Went into the bathroom, I had tissue, I was like dabbing it. I just wiped the blood off. If it was like a superficial cut, it would dry really easily, but think about a whole tooth driving into your flesh. That takes time to heal. There's internal pain and it has to heal from the inside out. So of course you need to cover it up and give it time, the time it needs in order to heal properly. It's not just like a superficial graze which can be scabbed over like tomorrow or in a few hours time. I covered it up and I went out. I didn't wash it. I didn't do anything like that. I showed my friend. She was like, oh my god, what happened? It was a bit funny, but it was a bit like serious because, you know, dogs kill people. Like the implications of a dog bite is, you know, it's dangerous because they carry disease. The consequences of getting bitten by a dog are quite serious. Like you get bitten, it has the potential to really harm you if you do not get instant treatment. Now the first thing I was thinking was I need to go out. If I had called my mum then and there, the first thing she would have been thinking was go to a hospital right now, go and get your injections, your anti-rabies or whatever injections that you need to get, because this is quite serious. So I go out and I was thinking like, oh, by tomorrow it would have scabbed over, not thinking about how deep a tooth bite is. So I go out, I spend the night at my friend's place, and I come back home the next morning. I look at my leg, I'm like, it's not healed. It almost looks like it could be a bit swollen, a little bit bigger. I take a picture, I still have the picture. It just doesn't look like it's like healing, and it took a while before it started to look as if it was healing, like a week or so. So I was like, okay, let me tell my mom, let me call her and ask her. I tell her about it and she's like, you need to go to the hospital right now, you need to go and get it checked out, you need to go for injections, you need to go for treatment, you should have washed it off the minute it happened to get all the saliva off so that nothing penetrates your skin. Basically almost cancels out what has just happened. But I didn't instantly wash my leg. I think I just wiped it and then I put the plaster on. I wasn't really thinking straight. I was kind of disorientated in the moment, so I didn't think to wash it off with water. That is what you're supposed to do if you ever get bitten by an animal, especially if it's a bit wild. That animal, I was a bit like, when was the last time it got its vaccinations? Because like the fact that it's biting people is a bit worrying. I know it's a guard dog, but still, just to go around biting people calmly, people who are not making any commotion, who don't look like thieves, and maybe you don't know me, but it doesn't mean you have to bite me. Like for example, that dog would never bite my cousin. I wanted to be protected. I wanted to get protection. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to the hospital like my mom has suggested, and I'm gonna get this checked out. I told them what happened and she's like, oh, you need to get protected. A dog bite is nothing to be joked around with. You need to get treated usually within the first 24 hours. Luckily for me, it was within the first 12 hours. My cousins were saying that the dog was vaccinated and that'll be fine, but my mum was saying you need to go and get your injections. Although it was a house dog, it was at home, it wasn't really exposed to many wild things out there who could have bitten it and then it brings a disease and transfers it on. Basically, I just wanted to feel protected. So I did that, got my first injection, and I was feeling a lot better. I was feeling like, yes, okay, I can finally be calm about this issue, but of course I was still left with the scar. But anyway, after that day of getting those first injections, that night I went to sleep and I started getting on my phone and just Googling information, as I do with any concern. I tried to find out a bit more about it and I couldn't really sleep, and I was just a bit worried and a bit like traumatized. If you do not want to worry about something, don't Google it. I mean, if you're told you're going to be okay, chances are you probably are going to be okay. If you're getting the right medication for it, you are going to be just fine. I mean, I was treated within the first 12 hours. Plus, that dog was kind of a house dog, even though he only came out at night. It's just that the fact that he bit me was almost like, is that a sign of something? You know, I was starting to get worried after researching. If you want to avoid extra stress and extra worry, try not to go too deep into Googling because you're only going to get more worried. So I had to get a series of 5 or 6 injections. I can't remember exactly how many. And then I had to go back 2 days later. And then every week after that, and I was only there for like 3 weeks, so you can imagine I didn't actually get to finish the course. I had one more injection to do by the time it was time for me to return back to London. And so the first thing I wanted to find out was, where can I get this injection? I was phoning around travel clinics, phoning around the GP. They were saying they couldn't do it at first, and then I was like really pestering them, like, can you do this, can you do, please, can you try and find it? And then eventually they said, okay, we can order you in a shot. And I was like, fine, that's good. I had to pay a certain amount. I think they might have covered most of it, I'm not sure, but anyway, they said I had to pay a certain amount for it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And that was a struggle because they don't really do post-bite injections here. They only do what you would get before. What they did was they ordered it in, they sent it to a chemist. I had to go and collect it from the chemist, and I had to take it to them, and they administered it to me. So at some point I was asking them, my mom's a nurse, can she do it for me? Can she inject me? I need to take it today, because they say you need to take it on like within a specific time frame, on a specific day. And they were like, no, you need to come into the surgery to do it. So okay, fine, I finally made it into the surgery to do it. You have to book your appointment, you have to call before a certain time in order to get your appointment. Nothing is really urgent, and even if I actually tried to go to A&E and they said they couldn't help me. So the only choice I had was to basically comply and just wait a week or so just to have that medicine administered to me, which was nerve-wracking. Finally I made it to the doctor's office. I'm waiting in the reception, I get called into the office, I sit down, and then the doctor comes in. He's a really old guy. He's like shaking a little bit, and he sits down. I'm like, okay. He's got a cup of coffee in his hand. He's like drinking his coffee. He opened it, ripped apart the packet. He had to flick it and then kind of like adjust the levels, suck it up into the tube. He had to mix 2 parts actually. There was one part that was like an activated part. I don't even know the technicalities of it, but there were 2 solutions. He had been fiddling around with the needle. He said, oh, this looks too small. Let's get you a bigger needle. So he walks out. He goes to get me a bigger needle. The needles they use are bigger than an average normal needle, and then they stick them right in your arm. I had been getting them on alternating arms. One week I'd get the injection on that arm, the next week I'd get the injection on that arm, the next week on that arm, and then this week I was like, all right, I'll have it on that arm. So he goes out and he comes back with a bigger needle, starts flicking it around, starts mixing and doing all he needs to do, sip of coffee, and then we're ready to go. He gets his antibacterial wipe, he wipes my arm. He doesn't even use like, I don't even think he even used like surgical gloves or latex gloves to like protect anything. He's like, I've been doing this for 60 years. I said, okay, I can tell. I trust you. So I trusted him. I kind of have a natural trust for people who trust in themselves in a way. So if you show me that you have that confidence that I know what I'm doing, I will automatically gravitate trust towards you and believe that you are able to do what you believe you can do. Sat there, he used his antibacterial wipe, he wiped off the surface, and he injected me with the solution. Close my eyes, I don't like injections, I'd rather take a tablet. So weird, isn't it? Like, I'd rather take a tablet than an injection, but my mum would rather do the opposite. She would much rather prefer an injection than taking a tablet. What would you rather? Would you rather take a tablet or rather have an injection? I know what I'd rather do. Tablet it is. He injects me and then it's over. That was the biggest relief of my life, because I had been searching high and low for a place that could give me that final injection that I needed. In that moment I was like, phew. The trauma, the drama is actually, I think, over. It was just before Christmas. That was like my Christmas present. I was like, thank you, Jesus, for this. That was a happy moment in my life, because I was like, yes, I have finished the course of medicine. I have finished this course. It is a done deal. I am sorted, protected. I'm gonna live. Yes. I I think I would have been okay without them as well, but like if you ever question whether or not you are protected and you're not quite sure, just assume you're not and try and do what you can in order to make sure you are safe and sound. So I'm left with a scar. I'm left with a scar on my leg. It's not nice. It's not the biggest scar. At first it was just one tiny little dot, but then I think it spread a little bit and got a little bit bigger. So it's still there. Obviously a tooth got driven into my leg. Luckily it's a flat scar. The way it healed was, it's not like a dent. What I'm trying to do is I am scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing, exfoliating and using scrubs in order to try and get that scar to disappear. And I think it's possible. I just need to keep going, and it's going to take some time, but eventually, fingers crossed, the scar will be gone. I'm not sure how comfortable I feel with putting an image in. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I just want to share the story with you guys. If you are going out at night, make sure you know what is around you. Make sure there's no dog around that could potentially chew you. I think it was just a bout of misfortune in that case, and could have happened to anyone, really. I think I would have been protected if I was wearing trousers. So because of that experience, ever since then, I've been a bit afraid of dogs. Anytime I see a dog, it's like my heart is hardened towards it. I don't want to say hello. I don't want to like look and smile at it. All I do is go to the other side of the pavement and make sure it's nowhere near my legs. Dogs here in England, they don't really go around biting people, but like I get afraid of them, and I get kind of annoyed when I see a dog without a leash as well. It makes me a bit annoyed at their owners, like, why haven't you put a leash on your dog? Especially like when they're leaving their dogs outside shops without leashes and the dog's just standing in the way. This is not gonna sound nice. Okay, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say that I feel like fly kicking the dog. I'm so sorry to all the dog lovers out there. I do actually like dogs, and I can prove it with pictures, because my work party like last year, there was this beautiful, gorgeous dog. She had the most silky fur and the floppiest ears. She was one of the most loving dogs I have ever met in my life, and it just changed my heart from that moment onwards, like a little bit kind of. I was just like, oh my goodness, she's just such a beautiful dog. I guess somebody brings her to work every day, like she's like the office dog. So friendly, and I had to take a picture with her because I was like, this moment is momentous. You'll never find me hugging a dog, really. I can hug a kitten. I am like a kitty whisperer. Anytime I see a cat, I have to say hello. I prefer cats to dogs now because of that incident. I have to meow. I always meow at the cat, meow, and then they talk to me, we just like talk and stuff. And there's this gorgeous cat. I don't think anybody owns it because it doesn't have a collar, and that cat is always looking for love. It just walks around and all you have to do is meow and the cat instantly runs to you. That cat is so desperate for love. She is grey and like she has these big eyes, and I think they're also grey, I'm not sure. One of the most receptive, responsive, friendly cats I've ever seen. Is that weird? Like, who else speaks to cats? Do you speak to cats? I don't know, I'm gonna have a cat. I used to prefer dogs over cats, but because of that incident, now I just prefer cats. Anyway, that has been it for this story time. The time I got bitten by an African dog. It's not fun. Let me know if you've liked this video. Please do give it a thumbs up. If you want to hear another story time, I have one more in the bag, I think. Leave your comment below, and I think I can try to share that story with you. I didn't even think I was gonna share it. I was like, this must be kept on the hush. The most ironic thing guys, like, that one is even deeper than this. That one I'm still dealing with the pain from I'm actually dealing with physical pain. I know that it only happened like a couple of months ago, but till now I'm still dealing with the physical pain. And the most embarrassing thing is that this was caught on camera, and so it's like it has me in the most vulnerable position. Like, do you want to hear that story? If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. I upload videos weekly, multiple times a week, at least I try my best to. So hit the subscribe button as well as the notifications button so that you do not miss out. It's really helpful. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.